All right.
Just lies and deceit, just like in this movie. Ah,
Oh,
ah.
oh,
There we
lies and
go.
deceit, levels
Lies and
and
deceit.
layers of lies and deceit.
Oh, deceit. All right, let's get this going. Hey, what's up, nerdies? My name's English Dave, and I'm here with my co-host Raven, and we're here today to review the new Netflix movie Damsel, starring Millie Bobby Brown, Ray Winston, Angela Bassett. I didn't know Angela Bassett was in this. Can you believe that? When I saw that, I was like, "Oh
Me
snap,
neither.
Angela Bassett." Nick
I
Robinson,
was like,
Robin
okay,
Wright.
for sure. Yeah.
Let's go. The synopsis
You
is
know
as
what?
follows.
She needed a new franchise. She needed a
She
new
did.
franchise. They killed her off crazy in Black Panther, so
We don't talk about that. I mean, I want to talk about it. I'll go on a whole rant
they ain't
about it,
have to
but we
do
don't.
her like that. Face down, ass up. She's a warrior. She died face down, ass up. That
Off
ain't how you
screen.
treat a warrior. That's no warrior's death. She's not gonna be in Valhalla. Maybe an
Oh
arm.
no.
Like maybe your arm. I'm sorry. Okay. Focus,
uh,
damsel.
Focus, Raven. Focus. Damsel, but not a
Yes.
damsel in distress. This is not a damsel in distress. This is just damsel. Funny enough, the
No,
synopsis is
no.
the synopsis
As they
is as follows.
said in the first line, this is not one of them.
This is not one of the stories. Dun dun dun. Setting you up. I'm trying to get the name of the actress who plays the dragon. She's that actress you've seen a whole bunch of. Oh yeah, I got the name.
Oh, that lady with that deep, scary voice.
Yes,
It's
I
funny
can't
because
pronounce
when
the
I
name.
first heard her voice, I was like, that voice, first of all, sounds absolutely terrifying. And then
So
second, I
terrifying.
was like, I think I know this sinister voice. And like 20 minutes into the movie, I was like, oh my God, it's that lady with that voice.
In all this
I
sci-fi
still don't know
stuff.
her name, but it's that lady.
I can't. I'm gonna butcher up
Yeah,
this pronunciation. Her name is Shore Ag Agdashlo. I think that's pronouncing Shore Agdashlo or Adashlo. Either way, she's awesome. Her voice was great, but
I
we'll get
believe
into that.
you.
All right. The synopsis is as follows. Her synopsis, yeah, it's her synopsis. Synopsis is as follows: a dutiful damsel agrees to marry a handsome prince, only to find the royal family has recruited her as a sacrifice to repay an ancient debt. Dun dun dun. Raven, this
Dun,
movie
dun,
has been
dun.
marketed. You see the trailer for a bit. What did you expect going in? How did the trailer get you at first?
I expected this, to be honest. I think there were more nuances than I expected. I went into it expecting a dragon, not even a dragon, to be honest. I didn't expect this much dragon. I thought that
Hmm.
she was definitely going to be surviving a lot, but I thought like we
Mm-hmm.
might be hinted at a dragon. We might see a dragon once or twice, but I didn't think
Shadows,
like
dragon shadows.
right, especially in the beginning, because the way the beginning played out, I was kind of like, they're not even gonna show the dragon this whole fucking movie, man. It's just gonna be trash. We're just gonna make sounds and stuff. And for all of y'all listening at home, do they show a dragon? They
Yes.
show a dragon. And the dragon doesn't disappoint. But yeah, I think going into this movie, I expected like one of the many failed uh reverse damsel movies, like where like I hated gunpowder. I tried, we tried, but I was knocked out
We
during
tried.
gunpowder. We did try hard. I was at your house when I watched that movie. I don't think I've ever been that tired during a movie in my life. But I feel like there's a lot of movies that have kind of tried to be female centered and female led, where they're like, oh, this is not your everyday hero, it's not your everyday heroine, and then it ends up getting so caught up in sort of like feminism and whatever that the story itself or the movie itself ends up short, falling flat. So I thought in this movie, we might get a bunch of really nice visuals, some slow mo scenes, but ultimately I thought I would leave disappointed, to be honest. Like I was expecting to come out of it thinking could have been better, but whatever. Um, and I was surprised. I'm very surprised. I'm happy I was mostly wrong. It's like it
And
played out how
to
I wanted it to play out, but didn't expect it to actually play out.
And to preface this, one first of all, we're gonna keep this no spoilers. Bit of spoilers at the end, and I'll put that in the timestamp in the description if people want to hear spoiler thoughts. But I think Raven, you can agree with me. Raven and I like dragon stuff. You know, like we
Love.
like dragon stuff, right? Like anything with dragons. In fact, that kind of annoyed me. I'm gonna say something controversial, but it annoyed me with Game of Thrones because it took way too long to get to the dragon stuff. Kind of threw me off because I want dragon stuff straight out the gate.
Amen.
Um, One of our favorite dragon stuff movies is Reign of Fire. Some good dragon stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the movie itself? No spoilers, go into it. What did you think?
First of all, I absolutely loved the set design, just how vast it was, how elegant it was. And I felt like you were really immersed into almost like a literal fairy tale, you know, or what they describe in fairy tales as, you know, the castle or the kingdom or the charming prince's kingdom. I absolutely loved yeah, I love the set design. I love the wardrobe. Wardrobe went crazy. Costume design. I felt like all of the action sequences and some of the um like real like trying moments I felt were done really well to where I believed it from um you know, from the protagonist. I feel like sometimes you'll watch a story and although you're following along with a party who's like, come on, you know, and you'll have these moments where you're like, how did they get up there? Or how did they defeat this person or whatever? I felt like the movie was very grounded in, I want to say, the abilities of this like kind of farm girl. You know, she can chop her
Hmm.
own wood. I mean, well, that's not a spoiler. You know, we see scenes of her doing, you know, actual work and tending to land, which I think requires you to have a little bit of muscle. So things that end up happening throughout the story and things like that, I felt like story wise, it was fantastically practical almost, where it's like, well, in the world of having a dragon, this makes sense, you know. And I felt like every character's motivation made sense, which is also rare, you know, because usually you have these moments where even though you fully agree with the protagonist, you're like, wait, the villain's play is kind of stupid. You know, you'll like really zero in and be like, oh wait, but if you're gonna destroy everything, where are you gonna live? And like, you know, things like that. Whereas in this I felt like the overall plate of the quote unquote villains was, you know, understandable and made for a good story. I didn't have, I have nitpicks but not many. They're extremely specific and my nitpicks are very personal to me. They don't really have much to do with like the movie itself. Absolutely love the dragon, the textures of the dragon, the colors of the dragon, the voice of the dragon, the sinister uh eeriness of the dragon, the fact that it's majestical and terrifying at the same time. I felt like they just like nailed it. And the scale of the dragon. I could talk about that dragon all day. I'm gonna try not to. But yeah, I felt like acting wise, Millie Bobby Brown was amazing. I had a lot of like strange moments. Like I had to Google how old she was 15, 20 minutes in to the movie. Cause like when she got all like dolled up and they were like, yeah, you know, we're gonna present her to get married. I was like, she's kind of,
Little
that's a
L.
beautiful lady, person, young human being. I googled it. She's 20, so I was like, "Wow, she's gorgeous." Like she's Millie Bobby Brown is now, never looked at her in my life before this moment, gorgeous. Um, and I think that in terms of skill, in terms of acting, to see kind of where she's gone since even Stranger Things, you know, she's put through a lot. Stranger Things, she had a lot of moments of agony and overcoming, and but you know, a lot of her biggest, you know, most range moments are just her literally screaming. Whereas in this, I felt like there was a lot more complexity and emotion. So I felt like acting wise, Millie Bobby Brown is amazing. Angela Bassett, I felt could have, she could have been anybody, sadly, in this. I felt like, you know, this wasn't like an Angela Bassett role. Like I feel like she's kind of forgettable in this as Angela Bassett, at least. Um and I don't like Angela Bassett doing accents. I just I just don't think that works. I'm gonna say it. I don't know if anybody else saying it, but Angela Bassett doing accents. I've yet to see an accent where I was like, yeah, that's that place. You know, not like this is Angela Bassett trying to be English or trying to be, you know, African queen, I guess. You know, love what she's saying, love how she says it. Just you know, I don't love the accent. It's weird. So that for me, I kept having these slight moments of detachment where I was like, where are you from? Like where, where's this origin? But yeah, other than that, I felt like, you know, the acting was great. What's the actor that played the prince? We love you,
Um, hi-
Simon. Love Simon.
Nick Robinson.
What's his name? Nick Robinson was great. But I also had a funny moment too, thinking to myself, like, like sometimes actors are too good of actors to where like I feel like they forget to play a regular person being deceitful.
Mm.
You know, like an actor is so good at acting to where when they're playing the role of like somebody that's being deceiving, they're so believable because they're an amazing actor. And then when the reveal happens and they actually deceive somebody, it's this like, oh wow, that's crazy. Which is granted the point, but I'm like in real life, people don't act that well. You know, like people aren't gonna deceive you that well. Spend a whole weekend with you and pretend to be in love with you and shit like that. But yeah, I loved it. And I guess one of the last thing would be one of my only other nitpicks is that I wish in the summary we weren't told that she's being sacrificed to the king. Only because the reveal of the like deceit would have been such a oh shit compared to oh, but I ended up because I knew it was coming. I felt like I was like looking for it almost in the movie.
But yeah, this movie was a better than I thought. I thought it was going to be something that was going to be bad. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. Like I agree with you. I think the dragon stuff was fun. I love the dragon design. I liked the and this is not really a spoiler. I'm always fascinated by how dragon flames look like. Sometimes, a lot of times, they just look like a flamethrower, but this looked
Yes.
cool.
I
I was
wrote a
like,
note about
yeah.
that too.
The
I
dragon
love that
flames.
the flames and I wrote a note about this. I love that the flames almost look like saliva slash vomit in terms of texture compared
Just
to
molten.
normally when we see a dragon movie. Usually right, and usually when we see it, it's gas. Like it seems almost like it's a part of the breath. So the flames come from more of like a gaseous origin compared to like in this it seems like it's its glands or like saliva or like
Hmm.
oil or something like that that mixes and becomes this like liquid fire, like
Hmm.
lava, which was that was
Hmm.
dope. I was like, ooh, that's kind of dope.
There
Like,
were a lot of unique things. Like even I won't go into, but even the way the mouth looks like when it opens the mouth, I was like, "Ooh, that looks creepy." You know, I thought the dragon overall was super
it's a
creepy. I
nice
liked how
mouth.
it was a scary, definitely a scary dragon. Um, I thought this was a fun kind of like streaming movie. It was very enjoyable. I thought though, in terms of the pacing, I think the first act dragged a bit. I almost wanted to get there because I think, like
Yeah,
you alluded to, part of my issue was because of how the first act drags. As the audience, you know where it's going. You're just waiting to get there, so the shock isn't like, you know. I almost wish
right,
it starts at the wedding, and then we kind of
right.
move along
Because
quickly.
what's
You
yeah,
know,
because if we're not gonna do a big reveal anyway, you may as well just start there. You know,
yeah.
like we don't need to spend 30 minutes with this family.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think for me, it got interesting once because it almost shifts the tone. Again, sometimes it's good because it's a jarring switch, but I think once we got into the cave, I was like, okay, let's go. There's almost like a Die Hard esque touch to this, right? This
Mhm.
survival, and even by the end of it, she's all dirty and everything from the beginning. You mentioned about the
The
costume
dress is
design,
like dark bloody red. I'm like,
right? Right.
yeah.
So
Scarlet Bride.
you know, I think where this movie shines is in the survival mode parts of the film. I think the survival mode and her just trying to, and what I liked, you mentioned earlier that they show that she's someone who's capable. She's not just a typical princess, but she isn't a superhero either. Because a lot of movies would turn her into the superhero, flipping and just amazing fighter and things like that. And she's not
Right.
that either.
She's
You
like a
believe that
skilled
she's
swordsman, combat, like fucking Black Ops secret
Right.
agent.
Right. And she's not that
Overnight
either,
though.
you know.
Like she
Right,
learned from
exactly.
the other brides in one vision, and now she's gonna be kicking ass for another hour and a half. Like, nah.
I was just like, no. And I think that that was a good choice to not make her like a superhero, and I like that. And I also like the fact that the villains are all women. You know, usually when you get stories like this, they make all the villains men, and it just becomes that story as well. And this wasn't afraid to
Greedy
make
men and your gold and
right.
your money, brr. Like usually, and that's the thing too. I felt like, and that was what I was saying about like it being nuanced. Like there were things that I completely expected and things that we got that are what do you call it? Familiar, I guess. Um there are
Mhm.
things that are not cliche. There's a film word for cliche.
Tropes.
Tropes. Yes, thank you. There was your typical like fairy tale damsel in distress tropes. There were. But at the same time I liked that it was like you had a trope base and then a different reaction. Like the
hmm
reaction to the trope was like oh, that's new. That's kind of
Hmm.
nice. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. That's cool. You know?
Because even little things like you mentioned the costume design, they pay a lot of attention to the costume design, but then there's also a purpose for it, for some of it. And I was like, I like that. That was a nice little touch.
I
You
did
know.
like that a lot.
But I agree with you. I think some of the acting, like you said, like Angela Bassett from the good actors, it was fine. It wasn't epic, and I think also like you instantly know who the bad guys are. I think there's no surprises there, you know, because it's
Yeah.
like
I didn't
clearly red flags.
believe right. I didn't believe Love Simon. Oh, I need to get his name right. What's his name?
Nick Robinson.
Because his acting was so good. I'm like, I would love more of this character. This is a complex
Mhm,
guy,
mhm.
you know?
And and I also wish, you know, because I wish we had more to do in the cave. I feel like there wasn't enough um, things for her to overcome in the cave itself. You know, because I wish we spent more time doing things and having things for her to overcome outside of the dragon. Because I think, and
Yeah.
I will go into this in spoilers, I liked seeing her being smart and resourceful. And I think I wish we
Hmm.
had more things for her to be resourceful about. You know, if that makes any sense. You know, they do some stuff with
Hmm.
some glowy things, which I thought was cool. I like the
That
glowy
was dope.
stuff. I like that. But
Glowy
some of the
stuff was
stuff.
nuanced. One of the nuanced things.
But you know what? I think we can go into spoilers now. Overall, I think this was a fun movie. It's not something I would say rush to watch, but if you saw the trailers and the posters and you were interested in it, I think it's a fun streaming film. Maybe you kind of half watch it in the first act, but then once things get into the cave, you're like, ooh, okay, let me pay more attention now. But you know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. Spoilers. One of my issues. It's also a good thing and a bad thing, right? I liked this. Like I said, I like what was going on inside the cave. I just wish she had more things outside of the dragon because I think there's times where we're just running in circles. Because especially we leave the cave and then we come, oh no, the sister's in the cave. Okay, let's go back into the cave. You know, because it didn't know what to do in the cave, so it just became,
Yeah.
oh, you know, like let's go back and save the sister. I was like, oh, what the hell is the sister in there now? You know,
Yeah.
and and then I wish, like, I think they telegraphed. I know that we know from the synopsis, but they telegraphed a lot of stuff too early. You know, like when we walk in and you see everyone with the masks on, the eyes wide shut style masks, you instantly know, okay, this is bad. You know,
Right. In my
I-
head, I was like, girl, anytime you see rich people in masks, you run. Have you not seen Squid Games? Have you
like
not
what?
seen rich people mask? Always bad. Always bad. Especially if they're also in cloaks. Cloak,
Right?
mask, bad guy. That's it.
Like I
Because
wish
why
we
wouldn't you
saw.
show your face in a badass
Right?
cloak? That's how you know something's
Right?
not right. You want to flex that cloak. You want to show
hmm
everybody, look, this is me and my fly ass cloak. You got a mask
Yeah.
on? Can't trust you.
And I wish, like, the moment we saw him throw her over, it should have been a shock to us, the audience, as it is for her. And it
Because that's
really
what I mean.
wasn't. You knew it was coming.
Because it was in the synopsis, I was like, when is he gonna throw her though? And then it
Exactly.
almost kind of got me a little bit when he's like, close your eyes. I was like, that is like, and also just because we're on this subject, I also feels like that. it also ties into what I was saying about Millie Bobby Brown's acting. I felt like her reaction at the bottom of the cave was perfect. Like,
Hmm.
because I feel like it's all too often that in movies we see someone get betrayed, we see somebody go through a whole bunch, and in a story or a movie where they're gonna become this badass hero or whatever, I feel like the moment of like I was betrayed or I was thrown into a fucking pit doesn't really like hit, you know, like, or we don't get
Hmm.
to see the actor go through that. It's like they hit the ground, they would limp a little bit, strap the leg up, let's go, but they don't deal with the betrayal part or the emotional part,
Hmm.
you know, about
Hmm.
like everything that's just happened. And I felt like the moments that she was in the cave directly after being thrown, I felt like that was those moments were really good. And like you said, that's when the movie like kind of really starts, is from
Hmm.
that moment in the cave, you know, when she hit the ground and realizes that she literally hit rock bottom. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? You went from literally having, and from not even being excited about any of this. Like you were like,
Hmm.
yeah, I'll do what I have to do for my country. Then you finally are like convinced that this could be great. This could be perfect. Everything's gonna be amazing. And you
Hmm.
get thrown into a fucking pit with a dragon. Like
Hmm.
that's intense, you know, and I felt like her tears, the anguish, you know, and then her kind of overcoming those moments I felt was believable from a
Hmm.
regular person standpoint. Like I
Hmm.
wasn't thinking to myself, this is how a princess reacts, this is how
Hmm.
this reacts. Like it was like a any person would hit the ground and be fucking sobbing because my
Hmm.
dad like arranged this, because it's not like it's just your prince that like screwed you over. And I love that in the end of the movie too, it also deals with that, like where even the dragon is like, you know, even though the dragon obviously wanted her to come out to murder her, I also felt like the dragon was also like, why would you send her down here though, bro? You gotta
Hmm.
apologize to
Hmm.
her. And I love that that moment did come back, because you do have to think about that. And I felt like in other movies we might not have gotten that moment, because I was thinking the whole movie, if our dad really just left her and that's it, that's kind of fucked up. And I'm kind of mad we spent 15 minutes in his little village or whatever, because why'd we need to do that if he's not a redeemable character? You know, if we're never going to
Yeah.
see him again, he just tossed her in a hole. We didn't even need the dad.
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
felt like, you know, it was cute. The dad coming back, I think, just also proves and is a sign of her strength or where she got it from. I loved,
Hmm.
just while we're on it, I love the use of the ropes, because there's a
Hmm.
line in the movie where stepmother is talking to the queen, and you know she mentions that her dad was the best rope maker in her entire, you know, I guess kingdom. That he was the best rope maker in her kingdom. So you know, and obviously that moment was responded to, was met with some absolute bullshit. I forgot what the queen said in response, but I was like,
No, no,
damn,
no.
rude ass. She was
One
on some
must know their
stay in your
place.
lane.
We need a bride, not more family. Oof.
Silly hoe.
I think, well, fuck you then.
Right. I was like, you.
Damn.
You know who you talking to? That's Angela Bassett. I think that's what bothered me too. I was like, they put Angela Bassett in this movie to get shitted on like that. Like, man, this is bullshit.
I like that she wasn't an evil stepmother. That would have been the cliche.
I thought that was gonna be cliche too. I was waiting the whole
Hmm.
time, like
Hmm.
stepmom's gonna betray her. It's probably the
Hmm.
stepmom's idea, because that's how it
Hmm.
seemed too when it started. It almost
Yeah,
seemed
yeah.
like it was her idea. Like, oh, did you send the letter? Oh, did you do this? Did you do that? And like following up. So part of me was like, I hope Angela Bassett ain't no crooked
I
ass
thought
stepmom.
I thought the scene where we see the birds on fire, that was a really creepy, like impactful scene. I was like, oh shit.
Oh,
I
it's
like
good.
that a lot.
Yeah.
That was like damn. Or when the dragon, some of the dragon kills, like just squishing people. I was like, oof, ouch. Like
I
when it
also
was
feel like,
pressing on the dad's chest.
yeah, because you're reminded in that moment, it's a fucking dragon.
Hmm.
Like, because in movies, we always see dragons, you know, obviously spitting fire. Sometimes we even see them bite a person. You never really see a dragon just exercise their actual strength of being
Hmm.
that large of a creature. You know, it's rare that you just like, because you don't think about that. Like, oh, yeah, dragon could just crush me under their hoof
Hmm.
and I wouldn't stand a chance. You know, but you don't
Yeah.
think that. You're scared of the fire. You're not thinking of being crushed to death by a dragon.
Hmm. And again, I think
Not at
talking about the
all.
fire, Speaking of the fire, because it had this kind of molten, like flowy liquid move to it, I think it was more effective to kind of run away. It wasn't just a flame in your face. You had to kind of keep running because it follows you down tunnels and things like that. I thought that was really well done. But speaking of the cave, I think
Right.
again, some of my issues there, I think, like I was saying earlier, I think we needed more obstacles in the cave because sometimes it didn't feel as much of a maze as they wanted me to feel. It all felt like the same room. You didn't really get a sense of these are different areas of the cave itself. So I feel like they needed more actual obstacles because I remember certain places like the glow place and when she
I
tries to
appreciated
jump,
the
I love
map.
that. Yeah, I did appreciate that map. Definitely. But I think we needed more. I feel like we could have leaned more into fantasy and have like other things in the cave to deal with, or just, I don't know. I think you needed more obstacles to kind of overcome. Almost like a video game,
Mm.
right? You have all the different obstacles, and then the dragon is the last boss kind of thing. I wish we kind of had more time spent there. Not
Like
necessarily problematic. Yeah,
other than
yeah,
the slugs and the dragon, you would have liked to see more mystical things down there.
yeah, yeah.
I
Just to
feel that.
really enhance this
Like,
world.
yeah, like it was a trash movie, but King Kong, the one thing I did like about King Kong in the 2000s was the when they went over into King Kong's territory, like the
Mm.
weird insects and stuff that had like
Mm-hmm.
the throat
Mm-hmm.
full of like teeth and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um but it would have been nice to have like a couple of those creatures. I see what you mean because it's like you're
Exactly.
in this dark
Exactly.
cave where a dragon's able to survive and these magic slugs. Why not? I don't
Exactly.
know
Other
anything
things.
else.
I did like the twist of the fact that they killed the dragon babies. I did like that, giving the dragon more motivation. I thought that was
Mm,
cool. And this idea of like they were tricking these women into uh believing that they were royal blood. I did like that angle, the royal blood angle, in terms of the dragon
mm.
thought, oh, I was killing the daughters. I thought that was really a really good angle.
I feel like the hallucination moment, like with the other brides, was done really well too. Like sometimes I feel like it's like a slippery slope. Sometimes where you have these moments of like
Hmm,
having like a what do you call it, like a spirit whether it be a spirit guide or whoever. Like
like a
I feel like
vision.
sometimes in movies you watch it and you're like, now they see dead people. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
where it's like this weird, like this person that hasn't done anything spiritual or empathetic at all for a whole fucking movie. Now all of a sudden they can just see their mom that passed 30 years ago and they're just having a full on conversation with them. Like that's not how that works. But I felt like in this situation, it was done in a way where it kind of felt practical. Like you're hallucinating, you're on the verge of death, you're looking at all of these names on a wall. Even if you don't actually know the names, and even if they don't actually visit you, at bare minimum, your brain is going to bridge the gap between names on a wall and me in a cave. You know what I'm saying? And create those personalities. So I did love that, and I also love that when she got to the top, Victoria dead girl.
And I'm also interested in where the story goes from now, because it's like this is Dragon Princess. Are they together? Are they going to get adventures with Princess and Dragon? I want to see that.
The way it ended implies, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'll watch the
Mm,
shit out of that. But then I'm also like, is
okay.
it a whole different movie then? Because will she be having to survive and stuff, or will her and the
Yeah.
dragon have to survive?
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
also like, it sucks. Those are the last of the dragon's kids. I wonder what happened to, like, do dragons lay eggs like chickens, or do they have to be fertilized? Like I'm interested.
Mm,
Like, is there
mm,
some male dragon out in the vast universe that she didn't know about? Because again, the spirit said it was all a lie. Maybe it's a super lie, and she's not even the last
mm.
dragon.
True.
Maybe she's
True.
gonna
I
find her
mean,
man.
she could be the last dragon of this land.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe because that was the whole point, right? Was that both LOD and the shitty prince wanted to see the world, and that was kind of the whole point. Oh, we're gonna see the world. We're gonna see the world. So I'm like,
I
maybe
do.
part
I
of
do
seeing the
wish.
world is seeing other dragons.
Yeah. I do wish the prince had redeeming like a redeemable moment. I thought he was, but he doesn't. He was just a punk.
Right, right. And it's like, granted, I know that like this isn't the movie where she's supposed to get like swept off her feet, whatever, whatever. But I would have loved the moment of him helping her and them being friends or cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being on some like, you try to kill me, but I understand that for you, because that's the truth too. And I thought this while I was watching it. However
He's a
she
victim.
feels,
as well.
these people also don't know that they've been being lied to for centuries. Like, even the queen that's enforcing it, it's been so long and so many generations that she probably doesn't even know the truth either. Because if the king went back and immediately told all of his people, hey, she tried to attack me and this is what we got to do now, you would believe it too. It's the king. Nobody's gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you wanted to, you'd be murdered. So
Mhm.
you would shut the fuck up and just listen to whatever the king tells you, which he's telling everybody. We have to give three, whatever, because she's this evil dragon. So it's like, you can be mad, don't get me wrong. These are probably horrible people. These people are doing the same thing that you're doing. They're doing what they think is best for their kingdom, and they think that there is
Mhm.
no other way because they've been told this dragon is going to set flames to your entire kingdom if you don't give them three daughters every generation. I would probably throw her off a cliff too. I wouldn't want to, but it's probably you or the damsel. So I'm going to throw you. I've known you 3 days. The fuck? Like, I'm not even
You
thinking
come
twice
out
about it. I'm
here.
tossing you off that fucking cliff.
This is Sparta. Kick him
Right,
off the cliff.
right. He better than me because I don't even want your stank ass hugs. Get out of here. You about to die. I don't want to feel bad later. Talk about
Though,
some. I haven't slept.
though, I don't know about you, but if I first came to this new castle as a princess, and then I looked out the window and I saw what looks like another princess, I'd be asking the next day, "Hey, who is that that I don't see anymore?" I'm just saying.
Whatever happened to that? Huh? Because
Like
I
I
was
thought
thinking
I
at
was the
first,
only
I was like, is
princess,
she? I was like, she's a very well dressed maid.
right? I
I
was
thought
like,
she was one
"What?"
of the servants. I was like, oh, she's probably a servant that's gonna be sacrificed. Maybe they put her in nice clothes so that, like, But that's my thing too. Like, so all these women around on the same day, same weekend. We on some bachelor shit.
Apparently,
But then you actually go
apparently,
through with the whole ceremony. Like, you gotta ask questions, girl, because something ain't right.
right, right.
Something
And
ain't
that's what I
right.
mean. I think the audience was asking too many questions before we got there, and I wish we just started at the wedding itself. Because again, we understand they did things like arranged wedding marriages and stuff for business reasons. We understand
Right.
that, and we could have got some slight context in the background. But I think we should have got to the cave a lot quicker, so that because by the time we got there, we expected her to be betrayed, and I think the betrayal would have hit
Yeah.
harder if it happened sooner. You know.
Mm.
But again, final notes. I say if out of good or bad, this is a good movie, and I would say if you were interested already, go watch it. If you're curious, watch it. It's not something that I would say rush to watch if it was in theaters. It is a streaming movie, and at times it does feel like a streaming movie. You can see at times where it's like we put a lot of the budget into the dragon more than some shots, and I think some VFX shots work because it's supposed to be a whimsical fantasy world, but it still kind of looks like green screen. So I think they do as best as they can with the budget they have, and you see a lot of the things coming, but it's not that movie that's supposed to go deep either. So I think it's
No.
intended as a fun movie, and that's what you got. You got a fun movie.
Yeah. I think for me, I love it because I went in thinking it's gonna be a fun movie, and it didn't disappoint in terms of just being something
Hmm.
entertaining to watch, where I didn't have to like really look into or like really even pay attention. Like, once the movie starts going, it pretty
Hmm.
much just keeps going. You just look up, you could completely not hear a thing, and you'd still understand what's going on.
I did like how we spend that scene showing all the layers of the clothes put on her, and then the
I
symbolism
love
of
that.
throughout it's being taken off and ripped. She's ripping it off or it's falling apart. It's almost like she's shedding that life of hers and she's
Mm-hmm.
a new person. I kind of like the symbolism of
Yup.
that.
And she used that
That's good.
whole gown for survival.
Right.
Somehow,
Right.
that 30-piece gown became a fucking Swiss Army knife. Like,
Right.
literally, that dress is a Swiss Army knife. She was able to make bandages, shoes,
she
gloves.
had a knife, the knifey thing. She
The
pulls
knife
out.
that they put inside, I bet you they regret that now. The next girls ain't getting no knife. They're like, damn, I told you not to put that knife in a cleavage. And that one
Right.
servant is somewhere like, yeah. Imagine it's not even a part of the actual like dress up.
Right.
Like, in actuality, that servant was like, "Here, girl, you gonna need this," and like slipped her one. And then
and
later
I,
it
and I,
was like,
again,
"Yeah, I knew it. I
just
knew she'd be the one." You
just a
know,
final note. I
like
think
22 girls. That's a long time.
I feel like in a deeper movie, we would have gone more into the nuance of like a conversation of what it means to have been to marry for political reasons, for things like that. And I think another movie would have gone more into that. This movie didn't need to, but it could have. I don't know. I don't know if it would have been better served or not. But I think just that narrative and
Mm.
conversation of women being married off for political reasons and things like that. I think uh, uh, they could have had that conversation more. But I think again, this was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. What do you nerdies think of this movie? Are you looking forward to it if you haven't seen it? And those of you who have seen it, what are your thoughts? Find us on social media at the Nerdy Bunch and look forward to more of our reviews. Raven and I will be doing more reviews. We are back on that note. Thank you, Raven.
Yes. Thank you. It's been real. Looking forward to many more. Missed you guys. Give us all your
Yes,
feedback.
yes. My name's English Dave,
Love you.
and this has been a Nerdy Bunch review for the Netflix original movie Damsel. And as always, Raven,
Keep it nerdy. Peace.
peace.